Since the start of the season, it was pretty apparent to anyone that had a pair of eyeballs that Lewis Hamilton and Mercedes got it all wrong with the new regulations that came into play this season. And since then, the team has had to retrace their steps and see where they got it all wrong. And while the team has found some pace this past few races, 7-time world champion Lewis Hamilton would say that the team will have an uphill battle for next season in their quest to get back to the top. So, why does Lewis actually think so? And how do Pirelli and their new compounds play a part in it? Well, let's talk about it then. But before we do, consider subscribing to the channel so you don't miss out on our latest uploads. Now that's out of the way, let's get started. 7-time world champion Lewis Hamilton has never finished a season without a single race win. And now that we have only 2 races left, that streak may certainly be coming to an end, which shows just how disappointing the team's W13 has been. And as for his teammate, George Russell has found a bit more success with this year's car, but both have yet to take the top step of the podium all season, leaving Mercedes with a great amount of work to do this winter break if they want to catch up with Red Bull and Ferrari. "The hill that we have to climb is huge," said Lewis. "For us, it's important to imagine it is the biggest, steepest, toughest mountain you can climb, because if you think it's going to be a normal hill, you underachieve. You've got to think it's the hardest climb you can imagine, which means you have to dig deep. There is a lot of work that we've already done to this point to understand where we are, where we went wrong in the previous decisions that were made last year into this year. In terms of making the right steps for next year, it's not easy to navigate as there are lots of different options, but communication is what I'm trying to work on with everyone, making sure there are no loose ends. There's no misunderstanding over what I feel in the car and what I want in the car, and making sure that we are continuously creating dialogue. There's not too much that you can do as we have to have trust in the process, but it's letting people know you are there. It's not for them to figure out on their own. We will figure it out together." But despite the team's struggles this season, Lewis has not shown any sign of throwing in the towel as he constantly reaffirms to everyone, including the team, of his commitment to the sport and to his boss Toto Wolff, with whom he admits he hasn't always seen eye to eye with. "In terms of my physical well-being, I feel the best I've physically ever been because I've been really focused on that as you get older," Hamilton said. "I'm generally loving driving, so I'm working on a plan. I can't tell you what that is just yet, but there is no limit to what we can do. Toto is one of my best friends. We've had tough times. We've had tough negotiations. There's been emotional bursts, a roller coaster of emotions together over the years, but we're like family. I want what's best for him. He wants what is best for me." The team currently sits in 3rd place behind Ferrari in the constructors' standings with a 40-point gap separating the two. While a 2nd place finish is within reach, team boss Toto Wolff would say that he would prefer scoring a race win rather than finishing 2nd in the Constructors' Championship. "The win would be proof that our car is back to fight for wins," he said when asked why he felt that way. "P2 could also be because the others dropped the ball and you're just scoring more points. It would definitely be some consolation because Ferrari had the quickest car at the beginning of the season. Finishing ahead of them would be great, but again, it's not our main priority. The main priority is to understand the car and have a quick automobile on the track." But as mentioned earlier, Mercedes have come a long way from how they looked during preseason testing. So, to Toto and the team, being able to be consistently within the whereabouts of Ferrari and Red Bull in these last stages of the season is a testament to all the work that they've put in all season long. "The thing is, we're racers, and the moment we can kind of see it in front of us, we just want to grab it," he said. "Therefore, there is always a sense of frustration, but we've come from such a long way, and here we are. We are racing for a win, racing for both cars on the podium. The Ferraris are behind us, so you need to stay humble and of what we've achieved while still reaching for the stars." And heading into next season, Mercedes believe that the team has now enough learnings from their W13 and will address these mistakes in next year's concept. However, Toto believes that the team should not get complacent, that the changes they plan on making will surely work and get them back at the front of the field. We have the winter. I think we're doing some good development on the car. Some of the things we're finding might be bigger steps than just adding a few steps of downforce, but we're giving it whatever we have and more in order to bring us back into the position to fight for a championship. And while Toto is viewing the future only in Mercedes' lens, the team's head of trackside engineering, Andrew Chauvelin, is concerned about F1's future as a whole, as the sport continues to struggle to resolve the complex issue of tire blankets. For those of you who don't know, F1 will be prohibiting the use of tire blankets in 2024, but 2 test runs in Austin and Mexico, where the tires were heated to 50 degrees and 70 degrees respectively, almost all the drivers on the grid struggled with sliding. Their problem is not a static one. These cars have more downforce in a straight line than the cars we used to have, said Chauvelin. The high-speed loads are very, very high, and the teams are constantly working to add performance. For Pirelli to keep up with that constant development is difficult. So you would say, yes, of course, you can make a blanketless tire. Pirelli could probably give us one straight away. But that tire would not lead to good racing. It would not allow the drivers to push as hard. You would end up with very high tire pressures and a significant loss of grip. It's a case of balancing the needs of the sport along with environmental concerns that are all being addressed. But the big concern is making sure we don't end up with a worse sport because we've led it with the legislation on what we want to achieve. Chauvelin would add that F1 should ensure the lawmaking on these devices goes at the same rate as teams can develop their cars, or else the sport will surely suffer. I think the challenge of taking a car that's this fast, this powerful, that has this much downforce and making a blanketless tire is incredibly difficult. It's very easy to look at the Formula 2 series and say, well, they do it, but the energies involved are enormously higher, Chauvelin explained. We're around 20 seconds per lap quicker at some circuits. That challenge for Pirelli is very, very difficult. It requires a lot of steps of technical development. The sport has to be very careful that the legislation on blankets does not get ahead of the rate at which we can develop the tires. And there you have it, guys. So what are the chances we see a 3-way battle for the title next season? Let us know in the comments section below. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't.